At the end of the season, everyone is looking for some differential picks in order to gain the upper hand in your local mini leagues or basically to win the FPL. So today I've decided to prepare not a team selection but basically a list of best differential players. I'm going to go under 10% ownership. I'll take into consideration the last three fixtures and how they have been performing so far in recent weeks, not in the season as a whole, because the form is the most important thing coming into the last three game weeks, as it's too late for anyone to get into a pretty good run of form, and we can target just players who have been playing well and will keep delivering. We're going to start with the goalkeepers and then we're going to go down through the forwards. Let's start with goalkeepers and we're going to rank them by percentage owned, and we're going to go under 10%. That's the key, to be under 10%. If we go even lower than that, it will be ideal, but let's dive into it. I'm looking at Becker, I'm looking at Turner. I don't see them as great options. Dubravka and Vicario, on the other hand, are basically amazing options, I can't lie. Dubravka, the only issue is that Pope may get a final push into the season just to get some games before the Euros, and we see if he's going to be selected. So maybe Dubravka's place in the lineup is a little bit under pressure, but Vicario on the other hand still has 4 game weeks to play, and he has at the end Sheffield and Burnley. Sheffield is already relegated and Burnley might be relegated before their fixtures, so in my opinion Vicario can benefit from that fact and the fact that they will need to push for Europe spots and especially for that top 4 fight. Vicario can be detrimental, so the first goalkeeper I'm adding to the list is Vicario. Going down, we see that Petrovic is still here as well, 4.8. He's in even better percentage ownership. I know that compared to a guy like Pickford or Onana or even Areola, still he isn't an ideal selection, but the only nailed Chelsea defender in my eyes. I cannot nail a center back, I cannot nail a fullback, so the only player I can nail is their goalkeeper, and with the double up in 37, I believe that Chelsea are going to have an okay end of the fixture run. Going down below, we see Flecken, who has an okay end of the season, but the guy that has been catching my eye and I believe that he can be the real differential goalkeeper pick is Ortega Moreno. The reason why he is going to be a good differential is of 2 reasons. Sorry about that. Let's install those updates. I don't know why they keep appearing, but yeah, I am updating my mic all the time. So yeah, speaking about Ortega Moreno, here we see that Ederson is injured and Ortega is going to play instead of him. I know that he has not been getting a lot of clean sheets and a lot of points, only 18 points from 4 games, basically 4 starts, so that's not a particularly good number, but I believe that he can improve massively, and at the end of the season they will need his saves, so I believe that he can be a really good option, and for me he is the best goalkeeper right now to buy because of his ownership and the fact that he's playing for City, who are pushing for the title. I believe if we go down the list, it doesn't get any better at the moment, so I would steer away from any other goalkeepers. Petrovic and Ortega Moreno, differentials and good price, good fixtures. Vicario can be added to that, but the price is way more premium compared to the rest of the 2 guys, so I believe I'm going to go with Petrovic and Ortega for differentials here. Now going into the defensive part, as you can see, players like Saliba, Gabriel, White, Poro, Estupinian, Walker are all on over 10%. A player like Gusto is a player that I can pinpoint as a great player, but I don't believe that he will be playing a lot of minutes until the end of the season, so I'm ruling him out. A next defender that I'm going to recommend, it's called Brentwaite. I know they've just survived, but in the home fixture against Sheffield, in your bench boost basically, he can be a great player to own. Under 10% still a great pick, but I believe there are more better guys basically. The Wo is one of them, but I have a better United defender, stay tuned. The best defensive option for City in the defensive lineup, not in the goalkeepers department, is going to be Joško Gvardiol. In the last 3 fixtures, he scored 2 goals, and before that, he scored none. So if you bought him after Crystal Palace, you would have gotten 33 points from 3 games, which is 11 points per game, which is an amazing thing. Basically, almost third of his points came in his last 3 games. So yeah, I've read a comment somewhere that FPL is all about timing, and if you have invested in Gvardiol, your timing has been good. Going down the list, we see a injured Udogi, we see Akanji and Take, who I don't think I will be investing in. Gvardiol seems to be attacking a lot, especially from that left back position. But going further down the list, we see a lot of injured players, a lot of other players being selected, but I now find Maguire. I know that it's tricky to say that Maguire is a great option and you should be going for him, but in my opinion, for 4.2, you cannot go a lot better right now. I don't see another defender being as popular of a cheap defender. Van Hecke was, but he got injured. So in my opinion, Harry Maguire can do bits, and he is going to be a proper defender, especially with a double. And I know 2 home fixtures are against good teams, but I believe he can score 1 goal up until the end of the season. So for me, Harry Maguire is a great option for a differential pick in defense. And the last 2 guys that I'm going to discuss, the first guy is Van den Ven. He is one of the Spurs players that I would recommend. He's 2.4, 4.4 in price, and he has a great attacking potential. He scored against Arsenal, but his goal was ruled out. I know that here it says 0.0 expected goals, but he scored a goal. It was slightly ruled out. I know that it was a okay decision, but as already mentioned, fixtures against Burnley and Sheffield at the end of the season, it's a pretty hard thing to miss. So I would recommend Mickey Van den Ven. And even more differential is going to be his... So can I find him at all? So let's try and find him. His partner... Oh no, he is more expensive. So yeah, I would recommend Van den Ven for that price and for that defensive performance. I believe Spurs need a cheap option, and that cheap option is going to be none other than Van den Ven. Defenders from Newcastle like Burn are great options, especially with all the injuries. The issue here is that their defensive structure is basically not in sync, and that may cause problems. But Burnley, Brighton, and then Brentford, I believe there are some clean sheets on the horizon for them. Looking even more, I don't think that it's too good to invest in goalkeepers or defenders, as they tend to not get a lot of big returns every week, and it's far better to invest in the next department, which is for midfielders. Here the options are pretty limited, but we can get some players in for sure. I'm going to start with an Arsenal player. It's Kai Havertz. I know that he's still 7.7% owned, which is pretty surprising for me, but the way he was playing and the way that he has gotten into form after Gameweek 25, it has been amazing. He has blanked in only 3 games since that, and only one of it was a 1-pointer. Everything else was more than 2 points, so that has been amazing. He has scored several goals, he has made assists, so I would highly consider him as an option. One of the doubles have passed, so now it's left only for 37, where he faces United, and it's away from home, but they're challenging for a title with 2 home fixtures up until the end of the season. I believe that is a great player to own at the moment. Going down the list, I wouldn't recommend Diaby. He's not to nail Rice, a holding game. Rodrigo the same, Ward-Prowse, Lewis, McAllister, Martinelli, not too sure. Gross is an interesting option. If you by any chance have any space in your team for a midfielder, Gross is the best Brighton midfielder, but I believe that your places here are taken and you wouldn't want to invest there. Going down below the list, Bernardo. Richarlison is a great option. He still has 4 fixtures. As already mentioned, they are fighting for top 4. Werner got injured, so with 2.5, with the form that he was hitting around here, and if you own him for that fixture run, you made the right decision. I did not own him, and that was a mistake on my part. But basically, he returned in 7 of 8 games, which is an amazing return ratio. And after Everton, he just disappeared from the map, basically. But I believe that at the end of the season, he's going to get into form once again, and he's going to enable Son to play even better. So I would not just remove him with a slight hand. Trossard not too nailed for my liking. Doku as well. Kulusevski, Hichan not too interesting for me. Grealish no. Ulize no. Now we're getting into some low numbers, and I wouldn't go there, as they are not going to be as interesting as I think. If you think you can find a better differential for a midfield, put it down in the comment section. It's pretty interesting for me to say, to see who you are saying. But now let's move to the forward line, and here it gets a little bit more interesting because not a lot of players are on over 10%. We have Jackson now passing the 10%, but yeah, Jackson I wouldn't recommend, even if he was 0.01% and he had home fixtures against Burnley and Sheffield. I wouldn't buy him as a differential pick, as he is hurting a lot of players right now. In the offensive part, apart from Mateta and Muniz, who has been having, both of them, an amazing run of the season so far, I would take a look at Højlund pretty closely. I know that he hasn't been in a good form since that run of fixtures, where after that he got injured, by the way, and it's basically the same thing that has happened with Richarlison. If you have replaced Richarlison around here with Højlund, you would have gotten a couple more goals. But honestly, right now maybe a good time to invest in him. Crystal Palace and Brighton are okay defenses to target, and Newcastle with a lot of injury problems. I know that Burn has been good, but I believe they're going to concede a goal against United, and I believe Højlund is going to be involved for sure. João Pedro is another okay option, not because Brighton are doing particularly well. After the amazing start they had, that form changed rapidly, and they haven't won anything for 6 weeks. I believe they have a pretty tough fixture run up until the end, but I believe they're going to pick up, and João Pedro will be involved in those goals, so I would recommend getting him as a bench option and just a double game week enabler. Morris and Wissa are great options. I already discussed Morris. He is going to fight for Luton to survive in the Prem, and with that being said, I believe 2 home fixtures, it's a great thing for Luton, so I wouldn't pass with slight hand Morris. And the last guy that I want to discuss here is Chris Wood. I know I am saying his name for the second time this week, but come on, Sheffield and Burnley. I know it's 2 away fixtures, but still those are the fixtures that they need to win. And if they win them, they are surviving, especially if they win against Sheffield. No, especially against Burnley, so Sheffield are down. If they win the 2 games, Luton, I don't see them winning the 3 of them. So I believe Forest are going to stay up, and I believe that Chris Wood is going to be involved. So I would consider him as a high differential option. Going down the list, I don't think anyone else is worth it. So let's summarize. In goal, Vicario, Petrovic, Ortega, Moreno, those 3. In defense, Brentwaite, Maguire, Burn, Van den Ven are pretty good options, the 4 of them. In midfield, Pascal Gross, Kai Havertz, and if I'm not mistaken, that was it. Did I mention anyone else? No, so midfield is pretty stacked with high-owned players. But on the forward line we have Mateta, we have Muniz as options, we have Højlund, we have Chris Wood, and we have Carlton Morris, and we have João Pedro. So basically in attack you can get a lot of differentials. You can go with Haaland and Isaac to have 2 of the higher owned players like they are right now and here, over 35% for both of them. But it's a good thing to have a differential, because in the double or the weeks around it he can deliver for sure. And maybe Carlton Morris or Chris Wood, for me, I believe they are going to get some points, and if they had a greater week in 37 on opponent for that week, I would have gotten instead of João Pedro. But yeah, João Pedro with a double gets the notch there. Højlund is another great option because he has a double as well, but he faces far better defenses than Joao Pedro for sure. I hope you enjoyed that differential draft. I hope you had fun. For sure I did. I will take a look at some of the players. I already own some differentials that are going to get me through the weeks. I am going to own Petrovic and Ortega. I own Brentwaite, Maguire, Burn. I will get Van den Ven for sure. I own Havertz and I will João Pedro. So I'm pretty satisfied with my differential picks. I hope you have integrated some of the differentials that I've mentioned in your wildcard for 35. If you haven't, it's still time to incorporate some of the differential for Gameweek 37 where we have the double up. But for now, guys, I'll be heading out. Bye!